Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. First of all, sorry, it's been ages. We've had a few technical difficulties and a few organisational ones. As you can see, me and Benji are in slightly different locations. Lockdown has been lifted a tiny bit in the UK, so things are going all right here. How are you doing, boys? It's been a long time.
I'm good. I'm down on the south coast. It's been very enjoyable, but it does mean I've not got my normal setup. So, yeah, Cricket Nerds on tour this week, I think.
Absolutely. Zach, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, pretty good. Same old.
Yeah, always an insight. All right, so today we're going to chat a bit about the England Test squad. They've got a few series coming up, particularly one against New Zealand and India. So yeah, a few notable things about it first. No IPL boys. So none of the likes of Joss Buttler, Owen Morgan, not that he would be in the Test squad, Johnny Bairstow, Jofra Archer out for injury. I'm thinking Ben Stokes probably is out for IPL and injury purposes. So yeah, it's a completely different squad to normal, really. We've got some fresh faces, and it's actually looking quite excited. What do you think, Zach?
I think it's good. Trying to play some of those players that we haven't seen but have been in and around the squad. So the likes of James Bracey probably be given a chance at the top of the order.
Do you think?
Or as the wicketkeeper. Yeah.
Well, so I read that since Ben Foakes is now out, which is a shame because I was excited for Ben Foakes to have his first home test. He's picked up an injury. That Bracey is going to move down to the number 6, number 7, and probably take the gloves. That's the last thing I read.
Yeah. Well, we'll see with him because it's likely that because with no Bairstow and no Buttler, Foakes being your probably second, third choice keeper. And now we're going to Bracey. At least it gives Bracey a chance, right? And then also there's going to be a bit of a battle between who's going to have that lower middle order spot between Dan Lawrence and Ollie Pope. So that'll be good to see. And hopefully Rory Burns, who's rediscovered some form for Surrey, will come good alongside Dom Sibley and Zach Crawley. So.
Yeah, it's a real good lineup actually. I think also just a note on the bowlers, spearheaded by Anderton and Broad. No Jofra Archer in there, so I mean I'd like to see them bowling together rather than being rotated. I'd like to see that quite a lot, just to have a little bit more experience in the side. But it's interesting what you said about the Ollie Pope, Dan Lawrence role. I mean, surely Ollie Pope, with his form in the county championship, he's got that on lock, hasn't he? Really, you'd have thought.
You would, but then Dan Lawrence hit that really good century. He made almost like a statement saying, "I can hit good centuries in the county championship. Put me in the Test team and see what I can do." And Dan Lawrence is someone who has done well in Australia. So whenever England A have gone over to Australia, he's been the main batsman scoring all the runs. So he's definitely one to watch out for, and he played in India, which is difficult. So he's going to hopefully make a name for himself in the English summer.
Go on. I was going to say it'll definitely be interesting to. I think if there's competition for places, it's generally a really good thing for a side. We look at India; the amount of competition for every single spot on that side means that they have one of the best Test teams in the world. And it's going to be the same for England. And any place where there's a bit of competition is going to be really good. Some notable additions also to the Test squad that's been announced. Hasib Hamid.
Very excited about that.
It's nice to see him back. He was, I think he was the second youngest ever.
The youngest. He debuted at the age of 19 in 2016.
That's insane. And yeah, then I think he broke his finger after a pretty good tour of India. And then he just sort of fell out of form a bit. And then joined Notts, which is a great idea, and found form again, which is also a great idea. And yeah, he's doing all right, I think. So it'll be nice to maybe see him opening a couple of matches. It'd be nice to have an out-and-out opener that is decent. And it would also be nice if he could fit in a number 3 role, please.
Well, there are questions over Dom Sibley's fitness, because I think he did something to his
finger.
If he's not fully fit, then you might see Hamid come into that opening role.
Yeah,
I think they were going to fill with Bracey, but as Benji said about the Folks injury, you might see him come in. And
so it's interesting. So with the Folks injury, Bracey has been moved to that sort of wicketkeeper slot, and because he was covering a wicketkeeper slot and he was covering an opening batsman slot, that's why they've called up Hasib Hamid, and also Sam Billings too, who's again been a bubble player. He's been in and around the setup for a long time. Didn't really have much game time. I think he played one of the white ball games against India before picking up an injury, and didn't get any play, I don't think, actually, in the IPL, which was a shame for him. So yeah, it's an interesting squad. I think there's a 16-man squad that's been announced. So we've got those 5 reserve players. I mean, I'd expect Burns and Sibley to open, provided that Sibley's fit. I think they've done enough to cement themselves as England's opening pair with what they did over the winter, with at least, for at least the start of this summer, for the New Zealand series, maybe not, and depending on how they do, maybe the India series. I'm quite happy with Zach Crawley in that number 3 role. I could go through the whole 11. I'm not going to. Should we do like a 11 prediction? What do we think to that?
I think it just leads on from that. You're going to have Root at 4, Pope and Lawrence 5 and 6, keeper at 7, whether that's Bracey or Billings, and then the bowlers, which we haven't really talked about. Ollie Robinson, another one who's been in the bubble for a long time. Seeing him bowl, and also they've got one of the Overton brothers. So
Craig Overton.
Jamie or Craig.
Craig Overton.
Craig, yeah, because he's someone who you might see in the English team playing that Wokes role, because Wokes is usually that number 8 batsman, and Craig can hold a bat. Like he's decent, and also he has played in Australia before. He played 4 of the 5. I think it's 4. It might have been 3 of those Ashes tests in the last tour. So he's got that experience in Australia. So I think
he's on absolutely cracking form for the county championship. For any people that have been following that, and if you're not, I recommend that you do. This has been the first year that I've really started following the county championship, and yeah, just keep up to date with some of the scores, see what's going on, because you can really see some emerging English talent. And Craig Overton is definitely one. He's been in the wickets from the very first game, really, and yeah, he's, like you say, he can hold a bat, and he's quite an exciting prospect, I think, for the England Test side.
Although maybe don't check today, seeing as Warwickshire have been putting Notts to the sword. We've been struggling to pick up some wickets.
We got 3 at the end. I don't know if you were following.
3 at the end of play. Oh, I didn't see that. I know we were like 220 odd for 3, but
yeah, Dane Patterson got 3 wickets, and they only.
Oh, well, that's my fault for not checking up on the scores. Yeah. But yeah, no, the bowling setup which you mentioned is interesting. I'd expect to see the 3 main bowlers in Anderson, Broad, and Wood. Be sort of that experience, and then I could sort of see, as you've said, sort of a top 7 batting. So 6 batsmen. Your 7 is your wicketkeeper Ollie Robinson, not Ollie Robinson, James Bracey, who can also hold a bat. Then I think on the English surfaces we're playing at Lords and Edgbaston. Sounds like a 4-seamer pitch to me. 4-seamers might be quite brave, but we've only taken Jack Leach as the only spinner in the whole of the squad. But I can see England choosing 4-seamers having that Broad, Anderson, and Wood as your main three, and then one of Ollie Robinson, Ollie Stone, and Craig Overton as the extra bowler. And I think exactly right. You'll probably see Craig Overton in that number 8 role, which is a very different England side to what we've seen. But I think it's a strong side actually. There's a lot of talent in there, and then a good group of reserves too. So yeah, it should be good. I mean, we're coming up against New Zealand, who I don't know, are they number 1 or number 2 in the world now?
Yeah, number 2 after the change.
After the change with India going back up to number 1, aren't they?
Yeah. They've got a very good squad as well. Like the batters are experienced. Like they've got a few exciting ones coming through, but for the main part, they've got like Latham, Williamson, Ross Taylor. I think he's still playing. BJ Watling is retiring. Like they've got really good experienced batsmen, and then their bowlers just always good.
They're absolutely ridiculous. And it is going to be a really hard couple of tests for the English boys, and it's a real chance for some of them to stand up and be counted and say, "Look, I deserve a spot against, against anybody." And to be in the main squad, because it is very obvious that this is like the second 11 almost. We've still got some of those core players in there, but really, we're always going to expect to see a Butler, a Bairstow, a Jofra. They're always going to be in there, unless some of these lads can really show that they're worth it.
I mean, you're missing really of your big names: Stokes, obviously, Butler, Archer, Curran, and Wokes. So there you've got 5 players who you're instantly missing, who I think would all be in that squad, and any of them could be down on the team sheet very easily.
That's good for the competition because it means that the likes of James Bracey will think, I've got to do my best to keep Butler out of the team, which is obviously not going to happen, but he's like, I need to prove myself. And then you've got the bowlers, even Broad and Anderson. If you've got trying to fit in Archer, Wokes, and potentially Curran, because Curran in English conditions is a real handful, especially with his left arm. And think about how he changed the series. He was the difference between the two sides when England played India in 2018. So like there's going to be that competition. So Broad and Anderson, they're going to have to stand up, and they're going to have to like show that they're still hungry to play. They're still hungry to get wickets. And so, yeah, it's going to be a tough ask for some of these players, but I think it's a really good challenge for them.
Yeah, big summer, and then big T20 World Cup, and then an away Ashes.
Absolutely,
lots of exciting stuff for the England team. We
will be around to cover it all. And hopefully we won't take another 2-week hiatus.
Hey, I'm at one of the Trent Bridge games, England and India, one of the days there.
I think we're all there on the same day. We're all going.
Have you booked? Oh, excellent! So we'll bring you some live coverage.
I will also be at one of the England-New Zealand days.
Have you booked Edgbaston?
I have indeed.
So if you're going to Edgbaston and you see James, get his autograph.
Absolutely. Social distance, of course. So
Are still tickets for Edgbaston?
Don't know. Should we wrap it up there?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, as always, if you enjoyed, please subscribe. Please leave a like and tell your friends about us. We're back in a big way. Follow us on all social medias at Cricket Nerds Pod. And we'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.